Hello, my name is Desiree, or Avocado Circles, and welcome! We are doing a Halloween video. I have my main villain here. If you've been on my channel before, you already know who this is. This is Yolanda. We love her. And I have her puppeteering so many people that are in the story. Happy Halloween, and let's get started on this monster. For this particular piece, I decided to sketch traditionally to try and get out my many ideas that were brewing in my little mind. I start by inserting my sketch into Procreate, resizing it to my liking, and then drawing right on top of it in a new layer to further figure out the composition I wanted to go for. You may notice that I start drawing the wood string things that hold up string puppets for a bit here in the beginning, but rest assured, those do not stay. My initial idea for this artwork was to have Yolanda puppeteering all these characters, obviously by the intro, but ultimately I thought the strings and wooden things would muddy the piece and take away from what I was trying to convey. That Yolanda was more of a looming figure in their lives, more than someone who just controlled them. Does she want to control them? Yes. Oh, absolutely yes. But all of these people are ultimately not fully controlled by her. At least most of them, anyway. Drawing my OCs as little dolls instead of puppets really paints a good picture as to how Yolanda, Cain, and Jade see these people. Now, the biggest change to my process and how I went about drawing this guy is actually choosing to negate line art. Whoa, negating line art? Desiree, how did you do that? I would never draw without line art. I honestly couldn't tell you why I thought lineless would be better this time, especially because I generally severely struggle with drawing art without line art. But I'm glad to call this one my first success piece without it. I had a time trying to shade the skin to make sense on the faces, and as you'll see later, I decided to just completely shroud the villains' faces with shadow anyway. For Yolanda, I start with flat colors, then I render her face, hair, clothes, pants, etc. Clothes and pants are the same things. I could not tell you how I did that, I just did. It was hard. Watching back on my little art process here and seeing how exactly I ended up shading her hair is so satisfying. Hello? Are we seeing this? I was shocked to find that I actually had a relatively easy time just rendering and shading. Obviously, I'm not as experienced as some other artists are because some artists go absolutely freaking nuts with shading. It's impeccable. You'll look at their stuff and you're like, how'd you do that? How'd you spend so much time making each individual, like, wrinkle on the pants look like pants wrinkles and not some weird, like, tumor happening on their leg? As for the other characters in the drawing, honestly, they were the easiest thing to do. Since I wanted them to be in like a simpler, cuter style, I did not have to think nearly as hard about posing and expressions due to their cute button eyes and doll-like proportions. Later I make minor changes to Joel, as she was drawn in a way that made her look the most like she was attached to strings. Who's shocked? But all in all, I stayed relatively close to my initial sketches for them. Except for like yeeting Aubrne out of the drawing. I don't know when that happens, but it does. As I'm finishing up the flat colors for all of my cute little dollified characters, I come to the realization, finally, that I'm not including the wooden string things, so I have to switch up the composition a little bit. Around this time is also when I decide I need Cain and Jade in there. I've mentioned them so many times and I have not shown you them. Soon. For the dolls, I end up going with my usual method of shading, which is merging them all into one layer and then putting a multiply layer and an add layer on top at like 30% opacity for the multiply layer and then like 15% for the add layer. And for the multiply layer, I'm using a dark blue for the shading, and then for the add layer, I'm using a saturated light yellow. I find that this gives the most like realistic lighting in my opinion, because light does tend to be warm, and then shadows tend to be cool. For instance, you look outside when it's nighttime and everything is like almost cast in this blue color because, I don't know, it's dark. Dark is just a cooler color. Or you look out in the middle of a summer day and everything seems to be cast in this like warm light, you know? That's why I do that. When it came time to draw Cain and Jade, I stuck to basically the same process that I did with Yolanda. Flat colors, then rendering. The main difference is that I didn't have to focus on their faces as much because I already knew I was going to cover it with shadows at the end. I hope we already recognize Casey and Grayson from previous videos, but we also have Esme, Kierren, YuVann, Joel, Aubrne, who's already been yeeted off the canvas, and Kage. We also have Jade and Cain standing on either side of Yolanda here. I don't want to spoil too much about all these characters, so I don't want to delve into like a ton of details on them, but I will give little synopsises about them, other than Casey and Grayson. I have a couple videos featuring information about them if you want to go back and look for my second half of the bar fight video and my video titled Drawing My Characters Who Strongly Dislike Each Other Sitting in the Rain. So, if you want to check those out, just make sure you come back, but go ahead, you know. Okay, are you back now? Welcome back. Esme and Kierren. They are a couple that work for Yolanda. If you couldn't guess that, you've not been on my channel long enough. Esme and Kierren ended up in Yolanda's hands after going to a part of her company that deals with sales and advice. They wanted to start their own art studio in the richer part of their country, but struggled to figure out what step one even was. Eventually, Yolanda speaks to them personally, a very rare instance indeed, and offers them employment opportunities that they just could not refuse. Years later, they still work under her, except with new skills in fighting and a shiny leadership position for Miss Esme. She works in the sales department herself now, managing her peers and helping them with whatever she can in her power. All the while, Yolanda breathes down her neck and pressures her to be perfect. Kierren works in the design department, as he is the artist of the two of them. He has no particular interest in leadership, to Yolanda's dismay. She sees that he has it in him, if only he gained more confidence in himself. Which, spoiler alert, that's not even true. Kierren just does not want to lead. He doesn't want to. He's much more confident as someone who is following someone else's order and direction. Anyway, now it's time for my favorite part of the video. Hello! Imagine him about to be shaded like that. But first of all, do you see? Anyway, shaded like that.
Thirsting over Yolanda.
Shut up. And favorites? Grayson.
Yeah, I love Grayson.
Joel.
Those were the two that like made my brain go.
The trickiest part about this one has been no line art.
Oh!
I mean, do you see the no line art?
Yeah.
I assumed there was line art at first.
Well, obviously there was a sketch. We've got Joel. She works for Yolanda as well, her job role being in the defense/fighting department. Yolanda initially took some interest in Joel, despite whatever secret controversy that puts herself into, and orders her trainers to focus on her and train her to become stronger. Joel is the definition of determined. She never backs down from a challenge, never stops pushing for success, not only in herself, but in others as well. She's a natural born leader. She helps people learn to fight just by being a wonderful influence. She is actually the one who influences and teaches Esme and Kierren to learn to fight. Also, sneaky quick fun fact, Joel is absolute besties with Casey. They spend a lot of time training together at work, then hanging out after work. Sleepovers? Yes. Are they technically allowed to do that? No. Am I going to go into any more details about why? Nope. Supper. YuVann is a rather new addition to the cast, as he was just created literally a month ago on September 23rd, 2025. He's rather difficult for us to pin down, especially with our goal for him being Yolanda's success story, which I promise you is not a good thing. This man is childhood best friends with Esme, dating back to middle school where they first met. They were both the quiet ones of the group, and were both told by their parents that they were not to pursue fighting as it would be too dangerous for them. They both talked about different fighting schools, techniques they saw on the TV, but mostly they were just the quiet ones at the back of the group. Fast forward to the current day-ish, they finally see each other for the first time since the last day of middle school because of him starting to work within Yolanda's facilities, just a couple years after her and Kierren started working there. Aubrne quickly got yeeted out of the canvas once I knew what was going on, mostly because he never really gets involved with Yolanda directly. He's actually a fire skate student who is on the same team as Noah and a couple of other mysterious characters that I haven't introduced yet. So, since he isn't in the final piece, I'm actually going to save talking about him for a different day. Rest assured, he is extremely interesting though. He is literally one of my favorites, much to his dismay. Kage. Kage. She has a long history with me, dating all the way back to my childhood where she looked like this. Yeah. She started out as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 self-insert. My god, a mouthful. And now look at her. Fully grown adult with actual reasons as to why she is the way she is, and not just because it's cool. Her history with Yolanda is long, but I don't really want to delve into that because I fear there would be a lot more spoilers than I would like to share. Despite loving her story, she, I would argue, is the main character of a good portion of her story. What I will say is that Yolanda has wanted Kage to be her employee for quite some time now. Kage's line of work is highly professional and perfect for all of the illegal stuff Yolanda wants to keep doing and keep getting away with. Trouble is, Kage works for the government now. That's where I'm gonna leave that. I want to talk about it more, but I can't yet. Soon. One day. I promise. Getting on to talking about one of the villains, finally, Jade. She is Casey and Greyson's fighting instructor, also adopting Joel and YuVann into that mix later on. She is, for lack of any better term here, evil. An absolutely putrid person. She silences anyone that questions her. She can and will beat someone to a pulp and scream and yell at them while doing so. She curses people out and uses their own words against them. Absolutely awful woman. Anyone under her would tell you that you don't actually need training from her and that being around her facility is not for the faint of heart. Cain is Yolanda's right-hand man and first success story of hers. His loyalty and dedication to her and her company is exactly what she seeks out in her employees. He is calm, mature, and unmoving when faced with conflict. And if anything out of the ordinary happens, he reports it straight back to Yolanda. He receives one-on-one training from her often, slowly gaining her full respect and trust over time. He has privileges that no one else has in her whole company, and if I told you what they were, I'd ruin the story a little bit. So yeah, again, more secrets. Not like he isn't keeping any himself though. In my first video on this channel, where I actually have a voiceover, I go over who Yolanda is, but I think it's time to paint a little bit of a better picture of her. She is apathetic, cold, and calculated. Any warmth anyone might feel from her is simply a mirage that she puts on to gain your trust, just enough to get you to do what she needs you to do. I have said this before, but Yolanda will sigh on purpose, blink on purpose, raise her eyebrows and roll her eyes, all with perfect intention behind it. She is a master manipulator seeking control over her people. She believes she knows what is best for them, after all. If she can't tell them what to do and how to do it, how will they ever improve? Anyway, that about does it. Thank you so much for watching this video and listening to me talk about my characters yet again. I absolutely love making these, so if you wouldn't mind just hitting like and subscribe for me. Yeah, there you go. It would let me know that you like these videos just as much as I like making them. Also, if you wouldn't mind leaving a little comment down there, letting me know what you thought of this video, that'd be super swag as well. I have my Ko-fi page with membership tiers and commissions available in the description, by the way, along with my Discord server and my Twitch if you want to follow me over there. Yeah. Bye. Cain is Yolanda. Cain is Yolanda. You heard it here first, folks. Cain is Yolanda.